Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Wrenching with Rob. So we'll jump right into it this time. If you've been paying attention, the last episodes we went over was that 73 CJ5. That thing is out of here. The customer, or however you want to call it, my buddy that owned it, is happy with it so far, and he's continuing on at his own pace and doing stuff as he can. So he is driving it, and that was the whole goal, is to be able to drive it around a little bit, maybe not go ultra fast or scary down the road or anything like that, but to just putt around with it. So now we're going to pick up, actually first of all we'll just go over some of the stuff that I've been working on here and some of the updates. The 74, I got stuck on 73. Ironhead Sportster here is back, and as you can see, it is definitely not driveway trained, but he's still running good. Running great. I ride him around whenever I can and putt around. Go over here to our 46 Willys 2A. Recently I had the opportunity to travel up to Minnesota, and the gracious folks there at 4x4 Unlimited, that's 4x4 Unlimited, they were gracious enough to fix up my steering bell crank here. I don't know if you can see this. The sun's probably too bright. Maybe I can go around this way and get a little bit better view. Yeah, we'll do a better view video on this sometime here in the near future. Let's swing around a little bit more. Maybe we can get right up in there. Sorry about all the moving around. But we had a big problem with, yeah, you can't see nothing. But anyway, I'll just put my paw on it there. With this whole mess here. And the issue with that was that this is a 49 and up frame, and my frame was a 46. And somewhere in 48 or 49, Willys Overland Jeep changed all of this stuff here to a little bit beefier design, and I had the old stuff. And in order to facilitate or use, man, I used a huge word. In order to make all this stuff work, I had to combine a bunch of this together or buy all new, and I didn't really want to do that. But so this is off of a 46, this bell crank, which the shaft is a little bit different. And the 49 hard point right here is a little bit larger. So I'd had to change the arm here, or the pitman arm. And what we did is we just machined out this bell crank to match the larger shaft. So the steering's all back together on this thing, and for the most part the running gear is pretty much done. As you can see by the massive amounts of dust here, it's been setting. But the next project for this guy would be the engine. I'm going to put this back in my storage facility and start wrenching on the motor, and we'll have to do a nice long series on that, I'm sure, but it'll be bored to tears. So the 87 is coming along. Been doing some body work on the sides. Now this is a Jeep, so if you high rolling body guys see all these nice wavy lines in here, remember that it is a Jeep, and it's an older Jeep, and we are not looking for perfection here by any means. Plus all of these lovely holes that somebody's drilled in will be covered up by the fender flares that are going back on it. The main point is we were trying to stop the rust and prevent that from peeking its ugly head through after it's painted, because it was kind of faded out. The paint was pretty disgusting and the rust was starting to come through. So we've taken out the rust, filled in the holes with, we welded the holes back shut, ground them all down, treated everything, and now we're going through and just knocking down or filling in the really low spots. So it's coming along, and pretty soon hopefully we'll be setting this thing back on the frame that's been hanging out there that's not very happy. Now the other little four-wheeler guy sitting over there, I've just been procrastinating and slowing down and not keeping up with him. Here, sorry, I got a little rambunctious and got away. So I'm just waiting to purchase a valve for him, and we'll get that guy spun back up. I did try out my free Airco 60 or something welder here, and at least the arc side of the house works, the stick side, so good to go there. We'll walk back over to my Springster Softail, So I did some talking with some local shops around here, and they pointed me in the right direction for somebody that can, an outfit, I don't even remember where they're at, but that can brew me up a sprocket here that is offset enough to utilize that chain right there. Because as you see here, this distance right here is very, very close, and it's just a little bit too close to the wheel area. In fact, right now, if you can see that, the chain is actually touching the wheel just slightly, but that's just because it's loose. So that's why I elected to go back with a chain, because obviously a belt is a little bit wider. So we're still trying to offset the drive sprocket down there, if you can see where my paw is pointing, to utilize that chain for this 200 rear wheel that we're putting on there. So anyway, the whole reason we're filming today is we're about to start a new series on, if anybody knows what this thing is, yes, if you speak diesel, that's exactly what it is. It is an injector pump, and it is going on my 1987-ish. I'm going to say ish because that's probably what, it's probably older than that. Deuce and a half. Oh, hopefully that's not too bright. 87 deuce and a half. That has an angry injector pump. As you can see, I tore this thing apart some time ago. And we believe it's all fouled up with biodiesel, because the Air Force insisted that it goes to biodiesel because theoretically it's cheaper, but I think it's just one of those ploys to convince a bunch of people to make some money somewhere else. I probably didn't say that out loud. So we started working on this quite a while ago. I actually have 6 new injectors for this. So we'll be doing a whole series on changing this pump out here and hopefully not blowing it up. So as you can see, several critters have made their home in here. It's been sitting about 7 or 8 years. So I took the liberty of taking the fender off. I have a radiator for it, brand new one. But I took the fender off so we can just get right up in there and make a big mess. So here's our fender sitting right around in this area. I put it precariously close to the garage so I can trip over things. As you can see, it's all you other guys call it. It's got a lot of weight reduction going on. Like right there, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to have a hole in it. But for the most part, it's still kind of greenish, tannish, or whatever. It's even got some stuff still seeping out of it. I'm sure there's some flying critters in here somewhere. But it's a good time to work on it right now because most of the flying critters are pretty slow until the summertime, when they really come out here and scare the pants off of me. As you can tell, I don't like them at all. But this was running about 10 years ago, so I think it still has a chance. So anyway, I'm going to get set up and I'll bring you back when we get that far. Okay, so we're getting set up. Some of the first things that the old destruction manual says is to put it at top dead center number 1. So if you can see down here, let me see if I get my little finger pointer in here. Right there is a little pointer, and right here is a line, and actually there's several lines, but according to the destructions, it says that this is an LDS 465-1 or 1A. Anyway, there's 3 lines. I put it on the first line because this is actually a 1 delta. You deuce and a half guys might comment on here if I've done something wrong, but I put it on there. I turned it the correct direction, and I think it was clockwise or something like that, so you take all the slack out of it. And then you're supposed to check it as far as timing by opening up this window here. You take this little cap guy off here, and then you open up this window, and if you look right down in there, there is a line on the roundy thing and then a tiny little pointer, and that little pointer is lined up dead on. And then the next thing you're supposed to check to see if this thing's, I have to kind of move around to get this to work for me. So way down in, yeah, you can't, there's no way you guys can see this, But inside this little thing here is a gear, and there's a colored or marked or something, and that dumb thing is supposed to be in view. And I see it, so I'm pretty sure that it's right where it's supposed to be. So we know that it was in time. So again, what we're going to do is we'll take the remaining throttle cable off here. We've got some of the injector stuff unhooked here. Some of the return stuff is just laying around. We still have some, where is it now? That oil line down there. And then we have to, let's go around to the front. Whoop. So if you look in there, in this mess is where the crust is. I've had that cover off for a while, and I'll have to clean up that gear. But those 3 bolts have to release the gear, and then we will take these bolts here. I think there's another one down there at the bottom, one that holds it through. And then we'll pull, actually, I'm sorry, this one, and then that one in the bottom. And we'll hopefully pull all this mechanism back. And with any luck, we'll get the whole thing off. We'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence. So we started taking this stuff loose before, up here about 3 or 4 years ago. And of course they twisted loose. So I'm going to have to acquire some new injector lines, I believe, or different ones anyway. And we'll see if we can get them replaced as well. Okay, so we kind of sped the last part up because it got pretty old fast, especially if you were in my position. So anyway, the old one's out, sitting next to the new one, and from what I can tell, they pretty much look alike or very, very similar. This one here seems to have its idle adjustment a little bit different than this one, but theoretically they're pre-run. That one says Bosch on it, and this one doesn't say anything. So I did move the timing a little bit. The reason I couldn't get the gear off is of course because of this area was a little crusty. So now we're just at attempting to make sure that everything is swapped over properly, and then the fast forward of me fighting to put it back in, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about the wind noise, and somewhere the camera must have run out of battery or something like that, so I missed a lot of it. Apologize. We'll go over what we've done here, but as you can see, it's in there, but all this happiness here is gone. So where we're at is we have to put all of this fancy gear stuff, and you can see I kind of cleaned up the rust in there. I'm pretty sure once it spins a couple of times, it'll tear up all that stuff. And it's a Deuce and a half, supposed to run on anything anyway. Probably not rust, but I think it'll be okay. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to put this hub on that shaft with that lock washer and canut here. And what that'll do is there is no key on this, so it's just a tapered fit. But what we'll have to do is line up the gear here somewhat, because as you can see it's slotted, so that we can adjust the shaft in there. Hopefully I'm pointing in the right direction. It's kind of bright. It's probably wind noise too, so I apologize for that. We'll tweak the shaft around, and I'll come over to the pointer here in a second. But right now we still have our timing marks, if you can see that right there, right on the line. So we'll go over here. What we're looking for inside is, right now you can't quite see it because it isn't correct, and in the manual it even says that you may not be able to put it right on the line and have it stay. So there's a line in there. There's a tiny little pointer on the right hand side. I'll try to get you in there as far as I can. Let me get some light in there. Hold on just a minute. So if you guys can see in there, let's see, I'll hold the light like that and point. You'll see that it's only about maybe a 1/4 inch off right now. I don't know if I'm getting that light in there for you or not. It's probably just making it really bad, but anyway, the goal is to get that small little line where the white paint is lined up with that pointer. So all I have to do is put it all together and then try and move it a little bit and then hopefully cinch everything down at the same time, and theoretically that makes it in time. So what I couldn't show you the last time is if we look up in here, let's see, well, I'm going to put you sideways for a minute here. Then I can really get in there. Up in here, on that gear, maybe, but that's loud and noisy. Let's see if you can slide out. That's your kill switch. Maybe that way you can see it. There's a little red paint, and that one has to be in view. If it's not, it's 180 out. So anyway, we're going to get set up and I'll bring you back here in a couple of minutes. Okay, so a lot of this is going to be fast forwarded, but going to put it together, and when we get to the actual adjusting portion of it, we'll slow it back down. Okay, so if you look down in there, hopefully we'll get the light just right. Hold on, give me just a second. And if you can see, that pointer, hopefully this comes out, is right on there. So we have that mark, we have that mark on the harmonic balancer, and the last piece of happiness we have to deal with here, let's see if I can get down that low. We'll have to put you sideways again. Bet that was some fast moving there. Alright, do you see that? Oh, there it is. That little bit of red right there, it has to be in view. So now all we got to do is hook up all this good stuff here, and we actually have new injectors to go in, so that's going to be probably another day, but we're working along. I probably have to soak the stuff down. As you can see, there might be something missing right through there, and I think this is a 6-cylinder, but I see only 3 injector lines, so I'll have to hunt the rest of them down, figure out where all them went. But so some of the stuff we did whilst the camera battery died. I forgot what it was called there for a minute. We hooked up the flame heater filter. It actually uses fire to heat up the intake. Crazy as that sounds. All the rest of these inlet lines, the drain line for the injectors, the throttle, nice and dirty. This is the actual hand throttle. We ran the line for the cutoff, but we have the cutoff open so we could see inside here to make sure that it was in the proper spot. I guess I need to do some cleaning up here in the where the pointer is and put that cover back on. All of this angry messy stuff down here. This one here, way down here in the bottom. Let's see if I can point. And this one with the brassy looking on it, right there in the middle. It took me about an hour, so I'm sure everybody would have been bored to tears watching all that crap. So we're making some progress. This is the first time we've really touched this thing since WW2, it seems like. So all of that is set. Oops, got stuck on the tripod here. I cannot do two things at the same time. So what we did is, if you can see that slotted in there, we put all that together. I'm sure I torqued it to arm strength or good and tight, but that gear is slotted. So what we do is we line up the timing marks on the harmonic balancer there, and then line up the mark on the injector pump, and then tighten it all down. You're supposed to have this special tool and all this happiness, but I don't have any of that stuff. Then we'll put this cover back on, then we put the radiator in, and we can put all the rest of that stuff. I'd like to see if it actually will run and not run away on us before I put everything back together. There's some fancy stuff you have to do inside here to ensure that I haven't taken any of this apart. I'm hoping that whoever rebuilt it, that's your cutoff right there. It's also the governor stuff inside there too, is all set right, because if it doesn't, it goes fast and doesn't stop, and obviously that's a very bad thing. But anyway, I'll bring you back here in a minute. Hey guys, I just want to tell you thank you again for hanging out with me. I'm starting to see some comments on some of my videos here, so that means people are watching them, and I try to read everyone and respond to them, all 3 or 4 of them that are actually on there. And but like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll continue on with this M35A2-2C, because it has the noisy turbocharger on it, injector pump, and hopefully we'll get it started. It's the first time it's run in I want to say 10 years now. It's been a good while. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me and wrenching with Rob, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good one.